A Heart for the Broken. Sarah Jenkins was the picture of corporate success. A financial analyst for a prestigious firm in the city, she wore her sharp suit with confidence and moved through her days with precision, managing budgets and presentations, meeting tight deadlines, and negotiating deals. On paper, she had it all: a well-paying job, a sleek apartment in the heart of the city, and a promising career ahead of her. But in the quiet moments between meetings, as Sarah walked to her car or sat at her desk, something gnawed at her soul. She had everything the world said she should want, but she felt empty. There was a longing, a deep sense that she was meant for something more. She'd always been taught that success was about climbing the corporate ladder, but as she sat in her glass-walled office overlooking the skyline, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to life than profits and promotions. It wasn't until one fateful afternoon, as Sarah was leaving the office late, that her heart was jolted awake. The moment of awakening. As she was walking to her car, Sarah passed a homeless man sitting on the cold concrete sidewalk. He was wrapped in tattered clothes, his face weathered by years of hardship, his eyes vacant yet full of pain. Sarah paused, her heart suddenly heavy with an unfamiliar weight. She'd walked past homeless people countless times before, but this time it was different. The man's gaze met hers, and it felt like a silent cry for help. As she stood there, a voice seemed to echo in her mind: "What are you doing to help those in need? Are you just going to walk past and pretend you didn't see?" Sarah turned back to look at him. She could feel the tension in her chest, the internal tug-of-war. "I should give him something," she thought. But her mind was quickly flooded with rationalizations. "I'm in a rush. I don't have any change. He'll probably just spend it on something harmful anyway. I'm just one person, what difference can I make?" But as she drove home that night, those same thoughts haunted her. She realized that it wasn't just about giving a few coins or handing him a sandwich. God was stirring something inside of her, a calling she couldn't ignore. She was being prompted to do something bigger, something more personal. Something that would require a fight. The struggle between two worlds. Sarah knew that her office job provided financial security and stability, and she was grateful for it. It was a comfortable life: high heels, board meetings, business trips, and sleek conference rooms. But as the days passed, the feeling of emptiness grew. She would sit at her desk, analyzing spreadsheets and reports, and her mind would wander to those on the streets, the broken lives that were so easy to overlook in the busy city. Her professional life felt like it was moving forward, but her heart felt trapped, like it was being pulled toward a different purpose. It wasn't that she wanted to quit her job or abandon her career, she simply felt a deep, spiritual pull to do more, to help those who were hurting in her community. But the struggle was real. Every day at work, Sarah wrestled with the feeling that something was missing. Her mind would race: what if I lose my job? I'll never have enough time to do both. This is comfortable, why mess with it? She remembered something her grandmother used to say: "The world will always tell you that success is in the suit and the salary, but God will tell you success is in the service." This thought echoed in Sarah's heart like a bell, and it became a turning point. She realized she needed to take a step of faith, even if it meant going outside her comfort zone. The first step, a small act of obedience. One weekend, Sarah decided to act. She took a small portion of her savings and bought supplies for a few dozen sandwiches, along with bottles of water and toiletries. With no grand plans, no non-profit status, and no team of volunteers, she packed her car and drove downtown to hand out what she had. She found a local park where several homeless people were sitting and laid out the food. She offered sandwiches, spoke with a few people, and prayed with them, offering words of hope. Sarah didn't have grand speeches, and she didn't know all the right words, but her presence, her willingness to be there, to care, and to listen, made a difference. The experience changed something in her. This is what I'm supposed to do, she thought. This is where my heart is. This is where my purpose lies. But even as her passion grew, so did the internal conflict. Sarah knew her professional life would require her attention, and her time was limited. She still had deadlines to meet, reports to submit, and meetings to attend. She felt the weight of both worlds pressing in on her, the corporate world, with its expectations and demands, and the world of service, where she felt God calling her to make a tangible difference. The battle of doubt. Weeks passed, and Sarah continued her small ministry, handing out food every weekend. But the battle raged on in her heart. Every day she sat in her office, suited up and ready for a day of work, she fought feelings of guilt. She couldn't shake the idea that she was living two different lives, one in the world of numbers and meetings, the other in the world of compassion and service. Who am I to start something like this, she thought. I don't have the resources, I don't have the experience. What if it's not enough? What if I can't handle both? The fear of failure and the desire to maintain control gripped her, and at times, she considered giving up the idea entirely. But then she remembered the words of Jesus in Matthew 25 verse 40, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." With that, a new wave of courage flooded her soul. Sarah realized that her ministry wasn't about grand gestures, it was about being faithful in the little things. It wasn't about how much she could do, but about being obedient to what God was calling her to do. Finding balance and purpose. As Sarah's ministry began to grow, she found creative ways to blend her two worlds. She reached out to her coworkers, asking if anyone would be interested in volunteering or donating. Surprisingly, a few of her colleagues from the office expressed interest in helping. Some of them had never thought about homelessness in their own city, but Sarah's passion ignited something in them. She also began incorporating prayer into her daily routine, praying during lunch breaks, asking God for wisdom and strength to continue serving others. She didn't have to choose between her job and her calling. She realized that her corporate career could be a platform for ministry, and her ministry could be a way of showing Christ's love in the world around her. A new vision. Over time, Sarah's personal ministry expanded. She officially partnered with local shelters to provide food and clothing for those in need. She started organizing small teams of volunteers from both her church and workplace to join her efforts. Sarah's leadership became an inspiration to many in her office, showing them that faith and work didn't have to be separate. Her ministry was no longer just about handing out sandwiches, it became about changing hearts, restoring dignity, and showing people the love of Christ through action. And for Sarah, it wasn't just a fight to serve others, it was a fight to align her life with God's greater purpose, to make her professional success a tool for His kingdom. Though Sarah still worked in the corporate world, every day felt like a part of a larger mission. Her suits no longer represented the boundaries of her life, instead, they were a reminder that she could wear them proudly and still live out her calling to serve the broken. And with every step of faith, Sarah knew she was walking in the purpose God had created her for, one act of service at a time. If you were blessed by this story, please like and subscription to help these stories reach others people. Remain blessed.